Let's see.
Hello, hello. Happy Sunday. Welcome to a new broadcast of Guide Out of Darkness. We are here with God Nation and our guide. I'm chewing gum and I shouldn't be chewing gum, but I need to chew gum today. And so today's topic, what we're going to talk about is awakening renewed, like your awakening. And when I awaken renewed, does not mean like waking up feeling renewed, but like literally waking up in your soul and feeling renewed and what that's about. And we know that being on our spiritual journey, that when you are in this phase called the awakening, it doesn't feel good. And I thought I was isolated in this situation until I started doing a little research and finding out what was this that I was experiencing, and I'll get into that. But first, I want to show a clip from Viola Davis and her talking about her, what we know now is this awakening is called the existential crisis. So I'm going to play a clip from that, and we're going to get right into the discussion with our God Nation and our weekly guides that are here, Letitia and Steven. Yay! Welcome, 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 and thank you for coming back. So this is going to be a very interesting topic. So let me go ahead and share my screen.
So to be able to carry this forward in this way, there's a wonderful line in one of Maya Angelou's poems. I think it's the poem called Grandmothers, where she says, "I come as one, I stand as 10,000. And as I've seen you at the Critics Circle Award, and you said something about the most important day is the day you were born, and the other day is the day you decide what you want to do," something like that.
You know, they say that the two most important days in a person's life is the day you were born and the day you discover why you were born. I absolutely knew I wanted to be an actor because I wanted to be somebody. I wanted to dream big and make a mark somehow. And that's something absolutely that Aibileen was not afforded.
That's a tough one, too. I mean, I went through a horrible midlife crisis, during doubt. I was just in a quandary.
In your own doubt.
In my own doubt.
Really?
I thought to myself, okay, I've kind of seen my dreams come true, but why
Because
don't
you
I
were
feel
nominated?
fulfilled? Because
The
I was
nomination?
nominated and I worked with Meryl Streep, and I thought I should be happier than this.
Yes.
Yeah, I felt an emptiness.
You did.
I did. I didn't know that success felt that way. I imagined it to be more fulfilling. I didn't think that it would be as isolating, which it is, because not everyone is rooting for you. And I didn't imagine that it would come with so much responsibility. And it does. That all of a sudden, all eyes are on you. And I didn't know that when you come to the midpoint in your life anyway, that there's a certain amount of disillusion that comes with that. And the disillusion is that all the things that you thought defined success and that could fill you up has been defined by other people and not so much by yourself, if that makes any sense.
Makes all the sense to me.
And so then you have to stop. Then you're there. You're right at the middle part of your life. So then you have to think, okay, Viola, really, what would make you happy? And that's really frightening, because the things that could make you happy may not look good to other people.
Wow. Wow. Woo. Okay. So I'm gonna have you guys come off mute. I don't. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna have you guys come off the mute. Um, what do you think about that clip? What what resonates with you? What Viola said?
Um, for me, it was when she said that what what may look as happiness for you may look kind of different or crazy for other people, and that resonated so like deep in my spirit, as they say, for me, because I remember a few years ago I was considering moving to Jackson, Mississippi. And my mom, yeah. And so my mom is from Mississippi. And my family relatives was like, why you want to move to Mississippi? Why, and for me, it was peaceful. I remember going there during the summer, spending time with my grandparents, and that was peace for me. And for me, like, especially like now, that's what I'm looking for. I want that peace. I want the like I don't have to I'm not a city girl, even though I grew up in the city. I don't have to live in the city. I can live in the country and have a garden, go to town on the weekends or whatever, and that's happiness and peace for me. But for other people, it's like, why would you want to do that? And I mean, I looked at small towns that I would could thrive in, and people were like, why? But then I had to get to the place of that's what happiness is for me. It's not for everybody else. Like that's for me. So that part right there really resonated with me. Is basically you define your own happiness and you define what success is for, looks like for you, not what everyone else says.
I completely agree. What about you, Stephen? What about you?
That resonated with me as well. As I'm sure everybody knows, I'm a real estate agent with Keller Williams, 81744. My phone number. What's my phone number?
817-475-5248.
Yes, thank you. That right there. If you need me, I'm here. But that resonated with me because in real estate, it's the same thing. Once you get in, when you get in real estate, you have to decide what success looks like for you, and you'll see people that may be selling, 50 homes a year, 100 homes a year, 300 homes a year, and then you have to take a step back. Are you willing to sacrifice the same things that they sacrifice to get your business to that point? And you really have to decide, is that what I want? And sometimes I look at that and I say, well, yeah, I want to make that money, but then my mother says she has to go to the doctor, and I think I was doing certain things in my business and I was busy all the time. I didn't have time to do what I needed to do for her, or that a friend might need some help with some things. Like when I had a friend's father pass and we had to rush over and help him. If my business was at a certain level, I wouldn't have that freedom to do that. And so, sometimes you have to take a step back and look at and really take a look at things and decide, is that what you really want? And so that's
Yeah,
that's what's made it with me.
yeah. I know for me, it's I think the real midlife crisis that they call it or whatever existential crisis just happened for me like in a real way. Like it started budding like 3 years ago, like little glimpse of what was getting ready, that my world was that I knew was crumbling. Wait a minute, there's some feedback. Hold on. Okay. Some reason the feedback is coming from you, Stephen. I don't know if you're watching and um on here at the same time, but I muted you, which is okay. But it started, like the real midlife crisis started happening about 3 years ago. However, I I remember thinking like once I made it to the top as a social worker in administration and got to make the rules and the decisions and create programs and stuff, I thought that I had arrived. But then when I got there, and I got there so fast because they always tell you in, well, they told us in grad school and when you first get your first jobs in social work that unless someone dies or you put in your dues, you don't get to the top quickly and you don't get there easily. And me being the person I am, I was like, watch me. You tell me no, I'm going to just watch me.
Mhm.
And sure enough, within after grad school, I graduated in 1999. I'm telling my age. I graduated in 1999 from grad school. Um, and by 2002, I think it was 2002, I was a regional director of a therapeutic foster care agency. So I'm in my 20s. I bought my first home. I had 2 cars. You know, I was a single mom with my oldest daughter at the time. I thought I had arrived. And then when I got there and I was doing all this work and I was doing it really well and you know and getting these contracts and just moving and grooving, a young black chick making it happen in Cleveland, Ohio, I was so empty,
Mhm.
so alone, so empty. And then it happened again when I moved to Los Angeles. Um they said don't move to Los Angeles. It's the middle of a what do you call those, recession, and all it was back in 2009. Don't move to Los Angeles. You're not going to get a job. It's in a recession, and you know everything is, the government is on freeze and all of this stuff. And so I got there. I left my first husband. I left him, and I moved to Los Angeles. And I was working through temporary agencies doing social work. But then it happened again. I was like, if I could just get a job making $50,000 or $60,000 a year, I would be okay. My life will begin. And in 3 months, I had a job as a supervising social worker of a foster care agency and making 50,000. And then what happened was my work was so amazing that they started, all the other foster care agencies wanted to hire me out as a contract worker to help their paperwork, because I'm kind of like the Olivia Pope of paperwork and audits and stuff. I can see what needs to be done and real quick and turn it around. So I was getting hired out and I had all these contracts, and I was making, I think, like almost six figures, not quite, but getting there. I think like 75, $80,000, working myself to a pulp, thinking that I've made it, but I was still unhappy. I was so unhappy and I started sabotaging myself. And my unhappiness was coming out in my attitude. Like I was short with people, frustrated, agitated, all that kind of stuff. And then my daughter developed a sickness, epilepsy, Izzy. She developed epilepsy at I think like 4 years old, 4 or 5 years old. And so then my life became torn between, I'm going through a divorce, my daughter has epilepsy, I'm working all these jobs that's supposed to be my dream jobs, but I hate it. I fucking hate it. And I'm a good church girl. I'm going to church. I'm paying my tithes. Like, what is the disconnect? What is this? You know?
Mhm.
So I can identify with it there. And I'll come back around to what I feel like is supposed to be happening, but then doing it again and like finding myself in and on accident I started doing a blog about relationships and love, because some of the life coaching clients that I had on the side, I had started doing life coaching on the side because I had a life coach. And I loved working with her. And I was like, well, maybe this is what I'm supposed to do. I know I'm not a therapist because I don't got time to sit and listen to your problems. I don't care. You know, I don't care that much about your problems. I got problems. But I like figuring things out and pushing people forward, and or entities and businesses and stuff like that. So I started doing life coaching on the side, and my name started getting out and I had a talk show. on LA Talk Radio, and celebrities and their publicists would start coming in on my show, and my show was becoming very popular. And then after the show, the celebrities and the you know people of status or whatever started wanting to work with me, and I was like, I'm just a little social worker. What y'all want to work with me for? But make a long story short, of course they was seeing something in me that I didn't see in myself, so I started taking on them as clients. But then it started going where I realized the reason why they were unhappy and felt unaccomplished, even though they were very accomplished, is because the love in their life, they could not maintain, sustain, or attract a quality love relationships. And then I had to go back and look at myself, and I was like, neither am I. I'm a boss. I'm doing everything, but I don't have love, like not in a real sense of a romantic, like real somebody to treat me right. And so back then I started realizing that was the missing kind of piece to this not being fulfilled. It's like different things in our life are only supposed to take up so much space.
Mhm.
But when we're lacking something, we overcompensate.
Mhm.
And we overcompensate to the point where we're not in self-discovery anymore about like, well, what really was lacking in my life? And why am I working 80 hours a week versus working 30 hours a week and then having fun with my life and having fun spending the money? Like, why am I overcompensating? Or why am I keep getting in all these superficial ass relationships and none of them are going anywhere? And I know they're not going anywhere, but I keep doing it. We're overcompensating because everything, the way God made us, we're kind of like a department store. You have your Macy's, you have, you know, whatever, all these different store, Nordstroms, whatever. You have all these compartments within us. But imagine if the whole mall was Macy's. Like you wouldn't like what? Like it
Right.
doesn't
You
make
know.
sense. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It don't make sense. But that's what we do with our life, right? And so, when I start really digging into seeing that everybody was really unfulfilled because we were missing love, and then that's when I started really getting into um how is love real? Why do we keep having broken hearts? Like all of this love stuff I started getting into, and then coaching people on how to find love, right? For themselves.
Mhm.
And then even myself trying to figure it out, how to find love for myself, loving yourself first. And then but there's degrees to loving yourself, and that's what I didn't know. When I met my second husband, I was just on like a lower level of just learning to love myself, and that's how I was able to attract him. He was able to love me at the level I was loving myself. So
Mhm.
loving myself was something new. So that's why that level of relationship was. And then as I started to continue to love myself, he didn't grow to continue to love. And he
Mhm.
didn't know how to love me. And I started like looking bigger than life. And it seemed like I started wanting something. So he went away. And again, that's beginning of the existential crisis. But I wanted to kind of go paint a picture of when you're overcompensating in your life and you're not really, really in tuned or tapped in to what's missing and why you're not fulfilled, then what happens is called the dark night of the soul.
Mhm.
And that dark night of the soul, and also in tarot, they call it the tower moment.
Terrible moment.
The tower moment. The tower moment, but whatever you constructed and you thought you were doing a good job at constructing it, but the foundation was so faulty or it wasn't fulfilled that everything comes crashing down to a halt. And
Mhm.
now you're sitting here with all this rubble, all these broken pieces, broken heart, broken dreams, broken everything. And now you have to sit there with that brokenness and figure out what's next.
Mhm.
Have you all experienced tower moments or where you just have to sit and it's like nobody can rescue you? That's the thing about a tower moment. No one can rescue you. You can call for prayer, it don't work. You can't have people try to lay hands on you. You can,
Mhm.
I mean, it don't work. No one can do anything for you when you're in a tower moment,
Mhm.
or an existential crisis or going through the awakening. So, what? When was your last tower moment? Or have you experienced that yet, where it's so dark there ain't nothing nobody can do for you? You have to dig yourself out of it.
Me personally, I don't think I've had one yet, or
Ooh.
or if I have, I didn't know what it was, and my thing is, and any of my friends will tell you, my philosophy is, if you get down and depressed or whatever, you got 3 days. I give you 3 days to not cry and do whatever you got to do. Then you got to move. As a black man, you have no choice but to get up and do what you got to do to make it on a day to day. So I may have had one and didn't realize what it was. I just knew I didn't have time to sit around and do that. I don't. As a black man in America, I don't get that opportunity to be depressed and not go to work and do whatever. I got to move. And
Wow.
And
That's
so,
a good perspective. Being a black man, you don't have time to have tower moments. Like, you can't wallow in your tower moments and not even sure that you had one. And I'm just gonna pose this question to you. Here's how you know when you have a tower moment. When the tower moment subscribes, your eyes are open to a whole new different type of existence. The things that used to matter to you stop mattering, and the things that used to feel good to you don't feel good to you no more. The people you used to be around, you don't relate with them. It's like you literally become a new person. And as I said, like, it's deeper than depression. It's more like you start questioning why you're here.
Mm-hmm.
Those tower moments, because you start questioning. First of all, you start feeling like, what did I do to deserve all of this? It's like a compiling of collapses. It's not just in one area, or it's not just like, oh, I'm depressed right now. It is literally your whole life collapses. And it takes a minute to sort through, because now you have to rebuild your entire, not just life. Because when we rebuild our life, like, we get fired from a job. Oh Lord, now I gotta rebuild my life, and I lost my house because I got fired for a job. That's like a mini type of tower moment. It's like a trailer. But a tower moment is like, you lost your job, you lost your relationship, you lost your money, you lost your dog, your cat, you lost your church members. You don't even believe in God no more. You just, everything is wiped out, to the point where you literally feel like, this is it. I'm dying. I'm dying. This got to be it. This is the end of my life. That's the tower moment. That's the existential crisis. Because now you have nothing. Everything is different. You can't even do the things that you used to do. Like, I remember, like, if I get in a little depression, I knew to, like, chant, or I knew to, like, go meditate for this amount of time or whatever. But when you go through a tower moment, it's literally, only thing that helps or shifts things is a constant dialogue and talk with yourself and talk with God, and then filling your life with that one area that is the reason why the whole tower came, is love. Really getting to have a relationship with love. Love in its purest form, love in its unconditional form, and understanding that you are loved. Because tower moments come because you don't believe that you're loved. You don't believe that.
Mm-hmm.
In a deep part of your heart, you overcompensate, you're living this grand life, and you're doing all the things that you feel like you should be doing. But when it comes down to it, oh, we have Phyllis. But when it comes down to it, hey, Phyllis, hello, welcome. But when it comes down to it, the deep bottom line is, You're questioning your existence. You're questioning your, do you really matter? And that's why the tower moment come. And that's why I say you've built your life on a foundation that was unstable because you didn't build it on love. You built it on other people's expectations. You built it on what you thought you should be doing. You built it to seek and to get something, to be famous or whatever. Like me, like I miss my Hollywood life, but I thought that was the end all be all. Being able to share a stage with Queen Latifah, with Lonnie Love and Spirit, and being the, I was a little video vixen for a while, dancing for Lil Jon. And I mean, all of that was amazing. Being on a TV correspondent for relationships, all that was so amazing. But it was built on ego or a faulty foundation. It wasn't built from purpose and from love. Because when you build from love, what happens is you are in your true purpose. And we all came to earth to deliver our contribution in purpose and love. And love is the foundation of our purpose. And when it's not built from that, it don't last. And like how they say, only what you do for Christ lasts. Like that's where that comes from. Only what you do, which is Christ centered. Because like if you think about Christ centeredness, he kept saying, I'm not here, I'm fine. Everybody keep telling me God, Jesus was fine. He had a deep raspberry voice, and and when he talked, you listen, he was ultra masculine. Like that's what I heard. But he like, I'm not here for all that. I'm here because my father sent me and I got a deep purpose. And this purpose is I got to show y'all love no matter how clownish y'all act. I got to be consistent in showing y'all love. And so we do the opposite. We come here and we're living from ego and everybody's expectation of us. And we built this massive thing. And then all of a sudden it comes crumbling down and you like, now what? And the thing that you were feeling deep down was I wasn't feeling love. So I did all this to be wanted, to be noticed, to feel loved, to feel like I matter. And that's the very thing that you have to work on building. What the existential crisis comes from, building from a place of purpose and love. But you don't know your purpose until love is the most important part of your place. It's what I find. So when you have love, then everything else you it, you can take it or leave it because I guess the attachments that we think we need to have, and I think that's what the Buddhists and understand learning to live a detached life, all the stuff that you think you need to have to be happy and to feel good, and you don't need that stuff anymore. You really are now, what's my purpose today? What's my purpose today? Because me doing a show like this back in the day, what? Never. Me sitting up here talking about God, Jesus, love, and what? No, it would have never happened. I would have been too scared of what people think. Like, and that's kind of like what took me so long to even start it. But now I know it's only what you are doing from their place of love. And my place of love is when people go through these crises. Most of the time, like I think it was Segment that said in her episode that she was on with us, they end up killing themselves because they think they're crazy. White males, after they let go of work or they get fired or they lose something, what do? They go either get on drugs or they kill themselves. That's the existential crisis. Because outside of working really hard, you don't know who you are. You're lost. So anyway, I know I was on my point. But anyway, I was trying to explain to Steven, like, when you have one, you gonna know. You won't have to think it was a 3-day depression. You can't get out.
Well, just based on what you just said, how many people can really get to that point if they don't know what love is? They can't. You know what I mean? If they don't know what love is, if they've never seen what loving yourself looks like, if they don't have a definition of what love looks like, whether it's for yourself or for somebody else, how can they get to that point.
And
That
Stephen,
makes-
that's the thing. That's the thing. That's the very thing. That's why everything crumbles, because you have to now focus and learn how to do it. Nobody can hand it to you on a platter and say, okay, this is love and this is what you need to do. There's your 3 steps to love. It don't work like that. It is literally where your spiritual personal journey begins. You figuring out what it looks like for you.
Mhm.
And how you going to know you're on the right track? Because now what Letitia was saying, I just want peace. Peace starts to embody you. You are peace. When people see you, they see peace. They see love. And you feel different. Everything on the outside might not have changed yet. Your money might not have changed yet. Your, just outside, the things we used to look for as proof that I'm where I'm supposed to be, that might not have changed, but it's an inner change that happened. It's a peace, an inner change, and you feel so abundant and you feel so safe and you feel like everything is going to be okay. Even if with your eyes you don't see that. So to answer your question, it's going to look different for different people, but what you don't want to do is die, because you do get a choice. If you ever, and I'm not saying everybody goes through existential crisis. I think it might be a select few that go through it. I don't know. But it seems like the more I ascend, the more I start meeting people who are having the same journeys where you're going through an existential crisis, and what's dying is your ego. Your relation to the 3D world that's what's dying. And just the other day, I was thinking about this, thinking about Jesus' death in a different way. I was like, okay, he died, and then a few days later, he rose again. And then the night before he was captured, he was in the garden because he knew what was getting ready to come. He already knew, and he was sweating bullets of blood. The tears just turned to blood. Like he was that, like, take this away from me. How can I go through? Take it. I know I'm here to do your will, but this is a lot. And that's when it hit me. That was his existential crisis. Everything was being taken away from him. Everything I'm saying is like I'm tearing up. Everything that he once knew. Remember? He was a carpenter's son. He was living his life. He had his entourage. They going from place to place. He preaching. He had his little groupies using their hair to wipe his feet. And they eating and having buffets. He's turning water to wine. Think about his life. It was fulfilling. It was adventurous and all of that. And at that moment, because he had to prove and show love, it was all get ready to go. He had a tower moment in the Garden of Gethsemane. And then after that tower moment, as hard as that place was, nobody could help him. Nobody could help him. Not his mama's prayers. Nobody could help him. At that point, Pilate, nobody could help him. He had to go through that. But then on the other side of it, what he was able to do was allow us to live both in the spirit and live in the natural at the same time, and occupy space of power, so that we can do the will of the Father with ease and grace. But once we know what the main thing is, and that's love. And that's how I looked at that. I was like, oh, when you're called, you got to go through that existential crisis, because all that ego, your form life, and then look, even the name changes, because you're not that person anymore. Phyllis, you looking deep. What's up, Phyllis?
Well,
say?
Y'all talking deep. I mean, you're talking, and then I'm thinking, when Jesus, it's almost like you had to go through a crisis, right? Because anybody that followed him had to go through a crisis. When he said, "Take up your cross and follow me," that's a crisis.
That's a
When
crisis.
it's, "I've got to let my money go," that's a crisis. So you're asking me, Phyllis, I'm looking deep. Yeah, because I'm thinking so many of us are attached to our profession, to our job, to our money, to our figures. And when things start changing because we're connected to that, we don't understand our true value. And our value becomes the money, our value becomes the job, the status, the house. I remember being a recruiter, and when the market crashed, I had men making $400,000 a year calling me up crying, "Please find a job for me, I'm about to lose my house." And I thought, my God, I mean, this just isn't affecting, a few amount of people. These are lives. These are families. He's the breadwinner. So yeah, when you said you're thinking deep, all these things are coming to mind. And when you talk about being awakened, um, I would only say that when your thoughts, feelings, and actions are in alignment, that's when you find your purpose, your passion, your joy. When there's a disjoint, there's nothing that can happen if it doesn't resonate. So, Steve, when you were saying, what if you've never experienced love? We need to stop lying to ourselves, because we know what love is, because it feels
Mhm.
good. It
Mhm.
resonates in our spirit. It becomes a part of our cellular structure. There's no hurt. When somebody loves you, there is no hurt. Their whole thing is to not hurt you. And you're the same way. There is no hurt that you want to give to this person. So I think, we kind of shade it, we kind of color it. I know he loves me. I know that if I do this, he'll love me. I know if I change, he'll love me. But it all has to do with what's resonating in our spirit. So yeah, you guys are deep. That's the reason you guys are having a conversation and bloop 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 bloop. Yeah, so that's the reason I'm all in tune with everything that you guys were saying. It's been
Thank
a
you, Phyllis, and thank you for being here. And just feel free to jump in at any time. It's just a conversation, and up until now, till this show, I was having this conversation with myself and one of my sister girlfriends, Sabrina Jackson Gandy. She would call because she calls them my spiritual downloads. So she was my student. So she would call me with her book, and then she'd be like, "Okay, what downloads have you gotten this week?" And I was
There you
always
go.
getting them, and now I was just like, "Let me do this show because it's so much more than what we know." But now I've gone through that crisis.
Your ego has died. You
It's
don't
died.
care about being the smartest one. All you need to do is share what's inside the spirit. When the ego dies, you no longer care about what people think about you. Does she know everything? All I'm telling you is what's inside. All you're sharing is what's inside. So I say thank you for listening to your spirit, and stop playing it safe by only communicating with safe people. When you don't know people and you're in a whole different community, that's a whole different ball game, because
Yeah,
then the ego's worried about, what are they going to say of me? What are they going to think of me? But when you're coming from love and not ego, you really don't care.
I don't care
You don't care.
because my life and what God thinks of me is much more important. What God did I It's not even what God thinks of me, is did am I doing what he purposed for me to do?
There
And
you
am I
go.
doing it well? Am I being the best version of what I call God, the
Yep.
guide out of darkness? And that's who God is to me. And that's why the name of the show is Guide Out of Darkness. It's God. Am I being that best version? And that's what's important to me. Matthew 6:33 says, if you seek ye first the kingdom of God
Yes.
and its righteousness, all these things will be added. And that's where I'm living from, that place. I'm seeking God in the kingdom. And I talked about this. I always see it now as all my, even now that I've embraced the fact that my ancestors, my loved ones that have passed on, they're all still with me, like, and really embracing that, like, death is not final, like, they're
Right.
on the other side rooting for me. Hearing my dad say to me, um my dad passed April, he passed the day after my first television debut. He passed April 10th to, I'm sorry, April 8th. Is it April 8th or 8th or 9th? One of the two. April 8th or April 9th, 2010. And not too long ago, I still struggle with love. I'm a love whisperer. I help people find amazing relationships and all of that stuff, but yeah, I still struggle with it, right?
Wow.
And then I got real resentful, because how am I like this queen of helping people find love and find their soulmates, but I'm struggling with this crap, and then get lightweight jealous when I make a match and they're in love and they're sending me all these beautiful pictures, and I'm like, you know. So make a long
Speak
story
your truth.
short. So now that I know that it's not a sin or crazy to call on my ancestors and my angels and my guides and all of that, I realize that they're the heavenly host, that this is the kingdom of God. It's God's kingdom that are all strategically placed to support me in my journey here until I cross over and be added to that kingdom. The kingdom come, God's will be done. So they're supporting me to do here on earth what they're already set up to do in heaven, in heavenly places. So make a long story short, I I heard my dad, and my dad was like, "Why are you so indifferent with me?" As if he didn't know, like, and and I was able to just articulate it. I said, "Because how you treated me as your daughter while you were here, this caused me to have all kind of turmoil with men and relationships. And I really do blame you, because every man, I'm looking for you. And then they treat me the same way you treated me. I'm in hot pursuit looking for my father. And then when I get my father, he treats me good for like moments. He's my world. And then he disappears again. And all of my relationships do the same thing." I said, "So I don't know how to fix that. And you did that." And he said, "I'm going to be better to you from here than I was to you over there." And that hit me like a ton of bricks, that I can let that story go.
Yes. Yeah.
And he's helping me now. And that's a part of the crisis.
Sweetheart, can I just say, stop trying to fix things. Listen, and I'm going to say it one more time. Stop trying to fix things. That's not what we're here to do. To fix. We're not fixers. We are doers. We are people that love, but that will open things up for you. When you meet a person, stop trying to fix them.
And that's the
Mhm.
first thing I want to do. Looking for
Leave
ones,
them
like I
alone.
told them earlier,
Let them do
even in
their
my
thing.
jobs. Olivia Pope always
Yes.
wanted to fix something.
Yes. No, that is not your job. That was not what you were commissioned to do. You're commissioned to, yes, find that mate, find that person that you connect with, but not to fix them. I mean, who do we think we are, honestly, that this person is doing their thing, and then I come along and I want to change Steve.
I want to fix you.
Unless I need to be working on my best version of me, not the best version of Steve, because Steve is connected to God, the source. God's not talking to me about how to make Steve his best version, but if I become his best version, then everything falls into place.
That's
Stop
beautiful.
fixing. Stop
Stop.
fixing, girl. Stop
Stop
fixing.
fixing. Wow.
Yeah.
That's real good. Stop fixing and just be who I am. I even
Period.
now even think of how we used to have all these titles, the love doyen and this, that, and the other, and matchmaker and blah blah blah. Now I'm just spiritual
You.
teacher. I'm just
That's it.
me. I'm whoever and whatever I need to be in that moment. I can't even tell people what I am. But what do you do? I always get quiet. I'm like,
Me. You do you. I do me. And whatever that is, it is. It's good
whatever it
enough.
is. Letitia, what you over there thinking about?
I'm just listening and thinking about my tower moment. But I want to go back to what Phyllis said about not fixing people. I had to learn that, and I had to learn that the hard way. And we have to allow people to just be. And being a guide out of darkness is basically just showing them the way. If they receive it at that time, they do. If they receive it at another time, that's fine. Our job is just to be. And the other day I was meditating and I was thinking about how we're created in God's image, but we seek outside validation.
Mm.
If I'm created in God's image, I have everything I need within me. So I don't have to go outside of me, except, to God, but other people. Like, I don't need that validation and that approval, but we
Nope.
do. And then a lot of that's where that fixing comes from. Well, if I can
Mm-hmm.
fix you, then I can feel better about myself because I'm really not looking at what's broken within me. And it's not my job to fix you because I didn't make you. I didn't create you, so I can't fix you. I can
But
guide
Yes.
you.
also in that fixing, when I'm fixing you, it makes me feel better because I think now you're gonna love me and need me. It goes
Right,
back to that.
right, right.
I
It
become
goes back to that need and
indispensable to you.
validation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that you're gonna keep me around forever and you're gonna
right.
worship me and love me because
And you
now,
might be seasonal. You might be temporary. You might be
Hello.
my friend in my season of whatever season I'm going through. And it's
learning to stop
important.
fixing.
Yeah, basically just learn to stop fixing. When I say I learned that
That's
the hard
good.
way. Yeah, yeah,
Learn and not fix. That's good.
yes, exactly. Um, and for me,
And
my
even what
tower
you
moment.
said too, when you said learning that I might be that person's, my job is to just be the guide out of darkness for them. And if they
Mhm.
receive it, they do, they don't. And again, goes back to Jesus's teaching that when you go, if they don't receive it, you wipe the dust off your feet and you keep it moving.
Yeah,
That's it.
there's a scripture that says that, and I can't remember exactly where it is, but it's something to the fact that, like, there's some people that will plant the seed, and then there's others that will come along and
Yeah.
water the seed.
Yeah. Some plant the seed, some water the seed, but it's God that gives the increase.
Yes, and same thing. It's you be the guy, like you be the love, you be the peace, you be that light that draws people, and you might be the one to just plant the seed, and later on, someone else will come and water that seed, and that person will grow into whatever it is they're supposed to be. A lot of times we want it like I'm gonna fix you right now, and that's not what we, like that's not what we're supposed to
I
do.
like what you
Mm-hmm.
just said. That made me think of this. We are guides out of darkness. We are not God Himself. We want to be God. And that goes back to
Yes.
the ego, the fine line of that ego self again. I want to have control. I want to be
Mhm.
magnified. I want to be, powerful or whatever. And it makes me powerful to have control over you to know I did that
Yeah.
Yep.
versus being an usher.
Yes.
Just usher you to the way and then allow you to do what you need to do. I want to usher
You
you.
just
I
spoke
want
about.
to go ahead, Stephen. Go ahead, Stephen.
I just said you just said something. You just spoke about the church as a whole.
Mm, that's good.
Mhm.
That's
Explain.
good.
Explain on me. Explain on me.
Well, they not only they want to get you in the church, and then they not only want to plant the seed, but they want to water it, and then they expect the seed to grow into something that looks like them.
Looks
Mm,
like them and that they can use when they want to.
Right. And so, and the church will say real fast that you should have a relationship with God, but then if that relationship don't look like theirs, then it's something wrong with it.
Right. Exactly. That's the truth. That is the truth. And that's almost like how they always say stay away from cults and stuff, but it just seems like a cult.
Right.
say that again.
You know how they teach us this that's cultish
Oh,
and witchcraft and all that stuff, but all it is it just seems like a cult.
it is. It really is. I was talking to this guy the other day, and he was talking about he was going to his pastor's anniversary was today, and he was going to give the men were asked to give $200. And so I said, well, why? He couldn't explain to me. The reason I'm asking is because the pastor has a very well paid job, has been in that position for over 20 years. And so I'm just asking, so why? And they pay the pastor's salary. Nothing against it. Nothing. But as I was asking him, like he could not tell me why. I said, so are y'all buying him something? Like, what are y'all doing? No, we just got to give Pastor $200. I was like, all right. Couldn't answer it. Could not answer that for me. And I wasn't trying to be I was just asking a question,
Condescending or
condescending or disrespectful or anything. I was just trying to get him to think, why are you giving this man who makes about $80,000, $90,000 a year $200 and you can't tell me why you're not giving the $200? And I mean, he was on his way from work speeding to the deacon's house to give his $200. And he
and
don't
just
have to
think
be there
about
for
how
him.
all those people who were like, how did they drink the juice with Jim Jones? Do y'all remember that story or whatever? How they drink the juice? Well, we drink the juice every day.
It's
He
your
just had a
mindset.
physical juice that killed everybody.
Mhm.
We do it every day. We do stuff like robots without asking questions.
Mhm.
Well, it's
And that's
also like people need to start studying the Bible for themselves and not just listening to what people tell them. You got to do your own due diligence, your own homework, and that's how they get caught up. Because it's like common sense just flew out the window, and it's like, okay, I'm going to do what I'm told. You had mentioned, you said, seek ye first the kingdom. I had to realize that the kingdom included me too. And I've had many pastors come to me and say, Phyllis, seek ye first the kingdom, especially when they're wanting people to get involved and do things. And then I was spending all my time working for the church and not taking care of my husband, who I've been married to for 36 years, because I'm seeking first the kingdom. Then I realized the kingdom, Phyllis, dummy, includes you and your family. You are seeking your family. You are seeking yourself in God.
Mhm.
So awakened, it only took me, in my 50s, but at least I got there.
Yeah.
I was going to say, would that be considered midlife too? Because I'm 47 and mine hit going into my 47th birthday. Like I experienced, like I say, a trailer version of it 3 years ago, but then it really hit. Everything crumbled
Yeah.
going into my 47.
Yeah. I mean, maybe coming into your own, maybe it's not so much midlife because it depends on what you've gone through, right? I may have gone through a whole lot by the time I was in my 30s, and then it was just revealed to me. I had the revelation. But my God, thank you for me to just be quiet, to listen,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when I realized, I was like, Phyllis, you're part of the kingdom. And you're not taking care of yourself health wise. You're not taking care of your husband. You're not taking care of your kids. You're taking care of all these other people that can't even call you when you're sick, that can't even come by and see you when you're going through, because they don't even know that you're going through, because you're always doing for them.
Mm-hmm.
You are the kingdom. We are all part of the kingdom.
Yes. I love that. That is so yummy.
Mm-hmm.
That
Oh,
is
I love
so
that word, yummy.
yummy. Ah, yes, yummy.
I love that word.
So, listen, in the upcoming weeks, we are going to get into tools of alignment. As Phyllis was saying, if you're aligned, things become a little different. The walk
Mm,
becomes a little different if you're aligned. But then we have to make sure we're aligned to the right thing. Because we
Mm-hmm.
can be aligned to the ego, and that's what most people are. They're aligned, they're loyal to their ego. And I talked about this when God explained to me what sin was. He was like, you're a slave to your internal narcissism. Slave to your internal narcissism.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to know if you're in sin or not, what are you answering to? What are you doing it for? So when you're in alignment to your sin, you ain't nothing but a big old devil walking.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're aligned to your God consciousness, if you're aligned to your love, if you're aligned to that, things are so much more different. And so over the next coming weeks, we're going to be talking about more of how you get in alignment. How do you go through this awakening? Now that the tower moment has happened, now that nobody can help you out of this but you, what do you do? Like, how do you fully become awakened? What does awaken look like? So we'll be talking about that. And just like the church, if you want to give a donation to our little church here, God out of darkness, I'll put that in there. It's, what is it? Cash App Nasira Nikisha Key. But I can put that in there too if you want to give a donation. If you feel like you are learning and you are being blessed by this show, definitely, you can sow, because I learned that the church always taught me that you just sow your tithes to the church and stuff. But I learned that anybody who blesses me and gives me a good word, I sow right into them. I would plant my seed to them, and then it always came back to me in so many different ways. So if you feel like this God out of darkness is supporting you, is helping you, and opening your eyes, and guiding you, illuminating some things for you, please, yes, you can sow a seed. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You don't have to worry about me buying a helicopter or anything like that. Ain't nothing like that happening.
You guys get a helicopter.
I ain't got no helicopter. I'm not trying to buy a helicopter.
Okay.
Other things that I want you all to be prepared to look for is we're going to start um, doing our international retreats. So, God Nation, we will be doing our international retreats. And I think the first one will be in October, where I'm going to invite you here to my home to Mexico. And it is Rebirth in Rosarito. Rebirth in Rosarito. So, we will experience a rebirth here in Rosarito. That'll be in October. And then in December, we're going to do birthday blessings in Bali. So my birthday, for my 48th birthday, we are going to do birthday blessings in Bali. So I'm working on getting that together. If you've never been to Bali, you do not want to miss birthday blessings in Bali. Um, I think I'll call it birthday blessings and bliss, because the last Bali trip we did, it was called total bliss in Bali. But this one, I think, because you definitely go into bliss when you're in Bali. Bali is the land of the gods for sure. For sure. So we'll call that birthday blessings and bliss in Bali. How about that? So that's going to be in December. But definitely October, rebirth in Rosarito. Yeah, end of September, early October, Rebirth in Rosarito. So please, God Nation, be looking out for that information, and let's be excited about meeting in person and having these deep, discussions in person, and exploring Mexico, where I am. It's just beautiful and peaceful, and then getting ready for Bali. So I wanted to share that too. That we'll be doing that, and I believe I'm going to do co-ed. Usually I would just do for women, but I think I'm going to do a co-ed because I cannot leave Stephen behind. No man left behind. I cannot leave Stephen. And what was the other guy's name?
Demetrius.
Demetrius.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, I can't leave Demetrius. Cannot leave. How can we do a trip without Demetrius? Like, how can we do that? That doesn't work. That won't exist. So, listen, I thank you all for showing up. We will be back next week. And I'm working on getting the schedule of topics together in advance. I'm working on that. I'm taking everything seriously now. Taking everything seriously. So I'm trying to work on the topics, but I think we're going to go into the tools, like how do you start to dig yourself out of the darkness and become awakened. And the question for today is, how do you know you're awakened? How do you know you are awakened? How do you know? Let's start with Phyllis. She's been an amazing guide today.
Oh, you
Phyllis,
guys are
how do you know-
wonderful.
How do you know you're awakened, Phyllis?
Joy.
Mm,
That's it. And
mm.
nobody has to tell you. Nobody has to convince you. You just sit in it and you know it. That's how I know that I've been awakened. And I wasn't
Wow.
always like this.
Wow.
But yeah.
They say behind every powerful woman is a powerful ass story, and I can't wait to hear yours.
I can't wait to share, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
She freeze.
Hey,
I am so sorry. Somebody was calling. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
we can hear you.
Somebody was calling in. It was a pastor too.
Oh.
It was a pastor calling in. Stephen, really quick, how do you know that you are awakened?
Oh, that's a good question. I have to think on it because I don't know that I am fully awake. Is that possible? I've never thought. You have to give me time. Give me time to think.
Uh-oh.
Am I hearing it? Oh, I'm not. Lala, how you know?
So for me, honestly, it's peace. It's as Phyllis said, joy, but it's also just having a sense of peace and just being able to walk away from things that no longer serve you without guilt.
Ooh, that's another conversation. That's
Without
so
guilt.
good.
Without the guilt. Yeah.
Easy.
Very easy. So it's the peace.
Ooh. Ooh, Letitia. Oh, that was so good.
Yeah. It's a
Yes.
process. But
Yes.
when you get there, I believe that's when you have awakened. It's like, you know what, that doesn't work for me anymore. So I'm over here and I'm okay. There was this big song that everybody was reciting, being where the money resides. My thing has always been, I want to be where the peace resides. So yeah.
I want to be where the love resides. Love is my thing. And that's the Venus energy in me. That's that Aphrodite girl.
Yeah.
I want to be where the love resides, because where the love resides, I feel that's why my weight is falling off almost effortlessly because I feel full now. I feel so full. I feel so abundant. And when I see things, it don't make me feel like I need to have it. I'm desperate for it because I feel so loved now. I know that I matter. I know that I have a place in this big old earth, and I know I have a contribution. So knowing that I'm loved, that's how I know I'm awakened. Because when I wasn't awakened, I didn't know that. I didn't believe that. I thought I was. I kept saying I'm the black sheep of the family. I'm the black sheep of this. I'm always the odd one. No, I'm the awakened one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm the awakened one. And when love, Nina Simone says, I'm gonna end it with this. Nina Simone says, when love is no longer being served, get your ass up from the table. She didn't say ass, but you know I had to add a little juiciness to it, some yumminess to it. When love is no longer being served, get your ass up from the table.
Period.
God Nation, I love you. Thank you, guys. I can't wait to meet you again next week. Same time until we meet or speak. Hug yourself for me. I am Nasira Satya, signing off with Guide Out of Darkness. Peace. Love.
Thank you, Steve.
Wow.